to Roots and Roofs, where we explore the intersection of motherhood and entrepreneurship in the real estate world. I am your host, Mackenzie Shelton. Join us as we dive into the unique journey of balancing family life with owning a thriving real estate business. Each episode, we will uncover inspiring stories, practical tips, mindset conversations, and expert insights from others who are carving their paths in the real estate industry. Whether you are a seasoned realtor, a prospective buyer, or simply curious about the dynamics of managing both home and career, Roots and Roofs is your go-to podcast for heartfelt discussions and invaluable advice. Tune in and discover how these incredible women are building deep roots from the ground up while nurturing their families under the same roof. Hi, everybody. Welcome back to Roots and Roofs. I have a really exciting guest with me today. Jennifer Neill is a team member on our team, Prairie and Pine Real Estate Group. And I wanted to take the opportunity to sit down with her and just have you guys kind of hear about her really awesome transition from her previous career to a career in real estate, and just about some of the challenges that she has had happen, and just some different things in relation to healthcare and also into selling real estate. So, Jen, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Why don't you tell all of our guests just a little bit about yourself and kind of how you got started in real estate?
That's kind of a long story.
That's okay. We have time.
Um, I actually got licensed in 2007, because I had somebody say, "Hey, you should get your real estate license. I think you'd be really good at it." And I was like, "Okay, sounds like a great idea." Um, I got my real estate license, and of course, the crash in 2008. I think I only sold one or two houses. I was also pretty young and dumb. Um, didn't really want to deal with it, so I put my license in an inactive status. And then I just kept working in healthcare. I did CAT scans and MRIs. In 2016, I had lost my job, and I was like, well, what am I going to do? So I thought I'll get my real estate license back. I also found another job doing CT and MRI, working the night shift. So it kind of went together good, doing real estate during the day, CAT scans and MRIs at night. Um, and then I didn't really know where I wanted to go with it. If I wanted to keep doing part-time or transition to full-time, it was kind of a pretty good side gig. So what was it in 2022, I think it was. I went,
Mhm.
you it was a slow build. I was selling, more and more each year. And in 2022, I went part-time at the hospital. So I was doing part-time at both jobs. And then also in 2022, I joined your team, transitioned to my new brokerage, and Keller Williams, and you guys basically told me I could sell more. So my goal was to quit the hospital. That's like all of it was okay. I want to do this for a career. Because COVID had hit the hospital in 2020, and it was awful, and I was like, I gotta get out of it. I need to make a change. So it was May of 2023, I think, is when I left the hospital completely and went full time, which was a really hard decision because obviously I'm single and support myself. But my uncle had been in his boating accident, like 8 months prior, and he had said, just do it. Like, basically go all in, and life's too short and you're never going to find the right time to do it. You're always going to find an excuse. And so that's what made me take the jump. I think he called me every single day for 2 weeks and asking me, did you put your notice in yet? And finally I was like, okay, 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 I will. So,
Yeah, yeah.
and
Yeah.
after that, it just took off. I feel like once I focused on it 100%, then it made a huge difference. So
So
that's my
tell everybody a little bit of like what the difference was for you in 2022, for example. Like, how many deals did you close compared to what you were then able to do, in 2023 and 2024 as a full-time agent?
Um, I had sold, like, I think 19 before I joined the year before I had joined your team and Keller Williams. Um, And so I had set my goal, I think at 28 for that
Mhm.
first year with you. So in 2023, I sold 31, which I thought was absolutely crazy, setting my goal for 28 units. And then I sold more and I was like, woohoo, this is crazy. Um, and then in 2024, I sold 36. So
Yeah, so being able to focus on it 100% definitely allowed you to increase your capacity. And also I think it, like you said, it probably kind of helped you focus a little bit on, you know, that whole side of the career rather than kind of having one foot in, one foot out. So, yeah.
well, and we talk about how I did not know what lead generation was.
Yes, that's yeah. All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
I had no idea you were supposed to call people, keep in touch with people. I just letting people call me. Uh, hey Jen, I want to buy. Okay, great.
Which is
So
amazing that you managed to sell 19 houses with not knowing what lead generation was.
yeah, I remember when I sat down with like you and James, and you guys are like, you sold 19 houses and you didn't lead generate whatsoever. I was like, no, and they were like, you guys are like, okay, well. You're gonna be
I what
I think you're gonna be able to quit your job.
Well, and what I saw in my head was just like a gold mine, right? Like if you were just more intentional about talking to people, like that's a gold mine for you, and it clearly has paid off just by you actively engaging with the people that you already knew anyway.
Yes.
Yay. Okay, well, let's get into a couple of the questions here. So, my first question for you is let's talk a little bit about where most of your business has come from. It's mostly been, people that you already knew, the small town that you grew up in, and kind of the surrounding areas. So, how did growing up in a small town kind of influence your approach to real estate and the client relationships that you have now?
Growing up in a small community has its pros and cons, but when it comes to real estate, it helps because everybody knows everybody. So, you know, it's so easy to call people that I know and love and talk to them. And I don't necessarily have to say, hey, do you know anybody that wants to buy or sell a house? I'm just visiting with them and, seeing how life's going. And they usually ask me how real estate's going. And then but it's just organic. So
Sure.
when you grow up in a small community and everybody knows everybody, it's a blessing.
For the most part, right?
I mean, yes, everybody knows everybody and everybody is in everybody's business, but
Yeah. 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 I've had to learn this too, right? Jack grew up in a small town and then we moved to a small town and my kids have now grown up in a small town and it's like, yeah, it definitely has its pros and cons, but I think most of them are pros. So okay, so what kind of challenges did you face when you started off in real estate? And do you feel like you've had even some challenges with kind of being part-time and then going full-time? Like kind of talk a little bit about some of that.
I would say my biggest challenge just when I first started out was just people remembering that I even sold real estate. Um, I remember, I mean, I think when people thought of me, they thought about how I was in healthcare. They saw me at the hospital or, they just knew I had done healthcare for 23 years. So when they thought of me, they didn't think about real estate. So that was probably the biggest challenge. So often I would hear, someone just bought a house and they'd be like, "Oh, I should have called you. I forgot you sold real estate." So like you always want to be top of mind. So that was probably the biggest hurdle and it's just now getting better. And I think that's because I am full-time real estate. So now people are starting to, when they think about real estate, they think about me. And so that's helping and my silly Facebook videos. So
Yeah, that's what I was just gonna say. I was gonna say I feel like the last 2 years, you've been very intentional about making sure that people remembered you, right? As the person to go to. And maybe just tell everybody just some of those ways that we as a team and then you individually are kind of helping make that happen so that you are always top of mind.
Well, as I said earlier, lead generation, and if anybody's listening to this that doesn't know what lead generation is, it's where you're calling and reaching out, whether you're calling FSBOs, for sale by, which is for sale by owners, or you're calling expired listings, or you're just I just call my spear, and talk to the people that I know. So just doing that so that I stay as top of mind, and then obviously being on social media, doing the silly videos that I do that I did not want to do, but they work pretty good. So
Seriously. And
and
you've actually, yeah,
now I
you've actually
love
had
doing
people
it.
reach out to you, right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So
it
they're
does make
clear.
a difference. I would have never guessed. So
I think though you are a funny person. Like I would say you have a really good sense of humor. So it seems very natural for you to do just kind of silly, funny videos. Yeah. I love it.
oh, Jen.
I was gonna say, if anybody is listening, Jen, what is your Instagram handle so people can go follow your funny videos?
Well, my Instagram is jneil05. I'm trying to think of some clever handle. I'm still working on that. So that's my Instagram, obviously. So
Okay. And
they're
obviously
just
go
pretty
follow her
good
on Facebook.
videos. Yeah.
Yes, yes. Just so you can see how funny they are. Okay, so let's kind of talk a little bit about work-life balance because I think that this has been somewhat of a struggle for you. I think we've done a lot of kind of coaching and talking around this. So, as someone who is a single person, do you find it easier to focus on your career, or do you feel like you face different kinds of work-life balance challenges that maybe other people don't?
Yes. I don't have a work-life balance. Um, we've had this discussion so many times. So it feels weird to me that, you're centered around your podcast here, centered around, moms and kids and family and everything. And it's just me, and my dog. He's my child. Um, but like we've talked about it several times, how, and I struggle with this because I feel like a lot of the times people know that I'm single and I don't have a family. So I feel like I should just go, 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 go. Because what do I, but I'm starting to learn and I'm starting to set boundaries because I do have family. I have my parents, I have my nieces and nephews. I love going to my nieces and nephews' activities. So yeah, so now I'm starting to set boundaries because that's important too. It's not, even though it is just me, it's not. I still have other family. So
Yeah, well, and just other things that you like to do, other obligations that you have, and I don't think I think there is kind of this stigma around like, well, if you're a single person, you surely can, just drop everything and go help me, but I don't think that that should be the case. And I think you and I have talked a few times about kind of starting to feel burnout a little bit, just with not having enough personal things that you were kind of doing in, your week or your month. And tell everybody a little bit about how you've kind of gotten a little more intentional about like even taking trips with friends and family and things like that.
yeah, well, I feel like whenever you take a trip, that's when you're going to get busy. That's usually when people are like, "Hey, I want to list my house tomorrow." Oh, oh,
It's like the law of real estate. I don't know. Yeah, same here. I'm gonna go to Vegas next week and I know somebody's gonna call me.
every single time. Um, I'm trying to get better about that too, traveling. So
Yeah. And do you feel like having some of the systems and some of our admin support and things like that have helped you kind of feel more balanced, where you're not then also having to do some of the back end stuff too?
yeah, just the biggest thing is just being on a team. So if I do go out of town, I have you, I have Leland that can help me, show houses. Or I mean, I remember for right after joining the team and I went to Nashville for the first time, I got 2 houses under contract while I was gone because Lee showed the houses for him and I wrote up the offers and I was like, This is not, this is great." I mean,
Yeah, it is really nice to be able to lean on other people and have some leverage for you to be able to go enjoy doing all the things that you like to do. So
I'm not very good about asking for help, but I am getting better.
I think you are getting way better
Oh,
than you were 2 years ago.
probably 100% better.
Yes, agreed.
There's still
Okay,
things I won't give up, but
yeah. And that's okay. That's okay. We all have those things. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's kind of talk a little bit. Now we're kind of a couple months, or really like a month and a half into 2025 at this point. What do you feel like we are seeing as far as trends go in today's real estate market, and how do we think that that is going to impact buyers and sellers as this year continues?
um well, primarily I work in the outer lying areas more than the city. I did just have a listing in Council Bluffs that went super fast. I think even in the city, it's crucial to list at the right price. If you list too high, you're just going to sit. I mean, right now in the outer lying areas, homes are sitting on the market a little bit longer anyway. And then if they're overpriced, they're going to sit even longer. And then it's just kind of a rate, you're just chasing the market at that point and just trying to get it down to a price where someone thinks it's worth it. Um, so I would say it's a benefit to buyers because they're able to negotiate a little bit more. And to sellers, I mean, you need to trust your agent, basically. If they're saying, if everyone thinks their house is worth more than, you know, because they've
Or
looked
they
at Zillow.
want it to be worth more.
I think they want it to be worth a lot more, but um, it's important to listen to your agent and strategize where the right listing price is and go from there. So
Do you feel like when you're meeting with buyers and sellers right now, is there kind of a disconnect between like what is reality in the market and what people are expecting, either whether they're a buyer or seller?
some buyers have a little bit of disconnect, and sellers too, I guess. But I guess I'm lucky that most people that I work with trust me enough to, if I suggest this is where you should list, they're like, okay, I mean, so I'm pretty lucky in that aspect. And I get listing maybe 10, a lot of people want to list a little bit higher and then have some room to come down, because they want to land at a certain number. But I'd
Yeah,
rather list it at that number and gain more traction. Um,
for sure, for sure. I feel like one of the biggest things that I'm seeing at the moment with buyers is especially if they already own a home and they're obviously needing to sell to buy a new house. There's a really big disconnect between what they are currently paying for a mortgage and what they are going to have to pay
yeah.
for a mortgage to be able to move. I'm actually meeting with some people this weekend, and I think when they had the opportunity to meet with the loan officer that we connected them with, there was quite a bit of sticker shock on that.
Yeah, they're
So
like, whoa.
yes, yeah, yeah. And unfortunately, what everyone is predicting is that rates really aren't going to change much this year. Which is kind of a disappointment because I think we were all hopeful that they would at least go back into like the fives and sixes, but I think I don't know, I feel like we talk about this sometimes in our meetings, like our conversations really do need to be around setting clear expectations with people that, hey, like you might not be able to refi this anytime soon, so you need to be kind of okay with the
Yeah.
price point.
Basically, I have zero hope that the interest rates are I mean, how many times did they say that in 2024 and it didn't? Yeah. So I basically just prepare people like, yeah, you can refinance, but when? We don't know when. So
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
nobody has a crystal ball. So
Yeah, yeah. Uh, so let's kind of go back to your transition a little bit between kind of your former career and now your career now. Do you feel like there are any like skills or experiences that you learned from your healthcare background that have ended up helping you with your real estate sales?
Um, I learned so much in healthcare. Um, Probably the number one thing would be just talking to everyone, people from all walks of life. Like I'm a big people person and I love to talk and smile. Like it's very weird to me when I was taking care of a patient and a patient didn't smile back at me.
Yeah.
But that helped. And to be an empath, empathize with people. And also just keeping people calm. Like most people that come into the hospital, they're in a lot of pain. So I guess I developed that skill of trying to keep people calm and reassuring them, which helps in real estate because usually real estate's an emotional process. So I feel like I've gained a great quality of trying to keep people grounded and centered just from learning that in healthcare for 23 years. So if
I
that makes
would 100% agree with that. I never really thought about the fact that that was like, I think one of the skills that I admire about you the most is that you are very, like even keel and calm with your clients, even if you are freaking out on the inside. Or verbalizing your freak out to me. You're really good about making sure that they don't get emotional about things, or that if they do, you can kind of help them, bring
talk.
them back to center. Yeah. Yeah, I love that. It really is one of the things that I admire about you most, and I never really thought you probably did learn that from healthcare.
I think a lot of it's just my personality and then just dealing with, people that are emotional and in pain, through my healthcare career probably just helped me
Yeah,
a little bit. So,
I love that. Um, what do you love the most about your career in real estate compared to your previous one? Like what has kept you? Because I know you've kept up your license in healthcare. So what has kept you from like wanting to jump right back into that?
um, I mean, obviously I kept my license because it cost a lot to get it. Uh,
Understood.
and it took me like 20 years to pay it off. Um, I guess I think everybody gets into real estate because of the flexibility. Um, I mean, on one hand, it's not flexible because I feel like we're on 24/7. Well, I'm on 24/7 because I don't have those work-life balance. Um, so but also working a 12-hour shift at the hospital is a lot different than working a 12-hour shift as a real estate agent because I'm able to go have lunch with a friend in the middle of my day or stop at Target in the middle of my day or, do whatever I need to do. So like it just doesn't feel like a 12-hour day. I might leave the house at 7 a.m., go to the office, do all these things, run errands, show a couple houses, go back to the house, I'm in and out all day long. So I guess just the flexibility probably.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with that. And I do agree with your statement that it's not as flexible as I think people think that it is. Because you do, I mean, you are somewhat at the mercy of your clients and their schedule, and we want to do our best to accommodate what's going to work best for them. And that's just, kind of the reality of it, that sometimes it's not when it's most convenient for me or for you.
And I
Yeah.
guess I should also say that the lead generation part doesn't really feel like lead generation to me because I love talking to my people. So,
Yeah.
just checking in with them and seeing how things are going and catching up on life a little bit. So,
Okay,
any,
so tell
anybody
everybody.
anybody that's not listening or is listening, when I call, pick up my phone call.
It counts as a contact.
Yeah, it counts as a contact, and I like to talk to you. They're
Yeah.
probably like, I don't want to answer her call. She's going to talk for too long.
Um, that kind of made me think though about when you first joined our team, because you joined kind of towards the end of 2022. What are some things that you told me when I was like, Jen, you just have to go talk to the 2,000 people that you that you know? What did you say?
I was like, no. What do I say? I don't even know what to say to these people. Like,
Yep.
I was terrified, scared to death. Like, I was like, no way. And
And
I think
and
we
I gave
small
you just
goals.
kind of some talking points, right? And then you were off and running, right? Yeah.
After a while, it got easier and easier. So
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I didn't want to sound too salesy to the people that I know,
Yeah.
And I remember there's been times where I've sent people messages on Facebook or whatever, and to the people I really know well, I'd be like, did that sound too salesy? And they'd be like, yeah, maybe a little.
And they're like, okay, thanks for the
Okay.
feedback.
Yeah. And so I would tweak it a little bit. So yeah, I did, that was like my biggest fear because I don't ever want to come across salesy to the people that I know and love. So
Yeah. Absolutely. And you know what? I think there's definitely a balance between that, right? Like, um, I know it's been said in our office before that most of the time people at this point, especially in both of our careers, like they know usually if I'm reaching out to them, it's because it's about real estate, you know? So there's a level of like, I if I don't reach out, I don't have the opportunity to potentially, get a referral from them or something like that. And at the same time, I really do care about them as a person, and I want to know what's going on in their lives or congratulate them for the baby they just had, or whatever it is. So there is like that kind of fine balance between the two for sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so last question here. I feel like that 30 minutes just basically flew by. What advice would you give to someone who's looking to switch careers really at any point in their lives, but especially, you had such a long career prior to this. So what kind of advice would you give to somebody who's looking to go into a different field or switch up careers?
I would say just do it. Um, obviously. Um, I'm so glad that I took my uncle's advice because he was 100% right. Like you're always going to find a reason not to do it and there's never going to be a perfect time. I mean, I know my biggest thing was I was trying to save up a cushion, in my
Yeah.
savings account to have that money to fall back on if I didn't sell any houses, because there's always that fear that even now I still have that fear I'm not going to sell another house. So
Yep.
I wanted to be, and I remember, and my uncle said, well, how much money are you trying to save? And I was like, well, a year's worth to pay my bill. He was like, well, geez. And I think at that time I had 6 months worth. So, I mean, obviously that's a plus, depending on what kind of career change especially if you're going into something that is commission based and you don't know how it's going to pan out. But
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I regret not doing it sooner, but you know, it is what it is. I think everything happened in the right timeline for me. So
I agree 100%. Yeah. Um, okay. Very, very last question. Where do you see yourself in 5 to 10 years in this career? Like what do you kind of envision happening for you and for your career in general?
well, I don't know. I hate this question. I don't know why. Probably because I'm very much like live in the moment type of person. I don't like to plan that far ahead. And I've never been a goals person until I came to Keller Williams. So I will say that it makes a huge difference setting goals, and there is no better feeling than actually hitting those goals. Like what I look back at the goals that I set for 2024 at the end of the year, and I had hit every single one but one. And the only reason I didn't hit that one is because I can't make a decision to save my life. Um, so I don't know. I guess in 5, 10 years, I'm sure other agents probably have their, I want to be investing in real estate. I just hope that I'm still successful in real estate and
Yeah,
I'm better than I was the year before is my goal, I guess.
I love that. No, that's absolutely true. I imagine one of your goals is to be the agent of choice in a couple counties that are around here, which ultimately will just make you bigger and better, right? Okay, well, Jen, thank you so much for imparting some of your wisdom on us. And it was a joy to have you on. And everybody, please check out the show notes in case you would like to follow along with Jen's hilarious reels that she does. And until next time, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for listening to Roots and Roofs podcast today. If you loved today's episode, please let me know. I love hearing from you on Instagram and Facebook, so feel free to send me a DM or tag me in your stories so I can share it too. If you're looking for more information about today's topic, please visit my website, mahoganyacres.com, and all of the information that is listed in the show notes below. Until next time.